It's mail call time. Did you get to hear that groovy bed this time, JP?
I didn't hear it. I'm sure it was great, though.
Oh, yeah. JP loves that bed, but he doesn't. And by bed, I mean music bed. JP really digs it, but he only gets to hear a few seconds of it because when I cut on the mics, it takes any speaker volume out of the room, and JP doesn't wear headphones because he's kind of a hipster like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I like to hear us in the ether.
You like to hear it in real time, right?
Right.
Before we go through the audio processors.
Exactly.
Oh, man. I think someone's messed with your microphone. I can hear you, but you're low. Talk to us, JP. We're going to do a live engineering.
Are we going to do this live? We're cutting it live?
All right, there you go. I think you're back now.
Is that better?
Yeah, a little better.
Who keeps
All right.
tweaking us? I
don't know, man. Somebody's trying to sabotage what we have here.
You might be right.
They'll never bring us apart.
I hope not.
Bring us apart. That's kind of... They'll never break us apart. That's better, right?
Yeah.
How do you bring people apart? I don't know. It's early. It's time for a Mail Call Podcast. If you just randomly found our video on the internet, we are the Podcasting Dead. I'm Justin.
Oh, and I'm JP.
And this is the Thursday podcast that we do where we answer questions that our listeners ask us. For a while, people were like, we all do Q&As, we all do questions. So we were like, yeah, we'll make it a weekly thing. So that's what we're here to do, but stick around if you aren't familiar with us. Maybe we can provide you a little entertainment. And definitely check out our channel while you're there. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. We talk about everything from The Walking Dead to JP scrotum issues, dark entities, current events. I mean, we really do podcast. We've really opened up a lot here in the last few weeks, really.
Yeah, man. We laid down some hot podcasts yesterday.
Yeah, it was good stuff, man. Definitely. If you are into, just kind of, we have Random Rambling Wednesdays where we talk about any and everything. There is no direction. Like Tuesdays, we do current events. Wednesday is where we just cut on the mic and see where the conversation goes. And I kid you not, it went from JP's scrotum to dark entities and drug use and religion.
Well, more
conspiracies.
specifically, what was inside my scrotum.
Right. And so if you want to find out what was inside his scrotum, you have to go listen to yesterday's Random Ramblings. And don't forget also, if you are listening on SoundCloud, to hit the follow button, like the video. And we're planning to upgrade to SoundCloud Pro here soon. But so if you're looking for older podcasts and you can't find them, that would be why. But you can always head over to YouTube where you can find all of them stored. But so let's get to answering some questions from the listeners. And before we do, don't forget social media contact. If you want to connect with me on Instagram, Snapchat, or Periscope, which, warning, I don't use Periscope often, but I plan to start. But mine's super easy. I'm Justin Lloyd, all lowercase, just I'm Justin Lloyd. 2 L's in Lloyd and no apostrophes, no nothing. Just I'm Justin Lloyd. That's Instagram, Snapchat, and Periscope. JP, you are J_Radsaw on Snapchat, right?
Yeah, and I'm really not even snapping nothing right now. I mean, I use it for communication. That's about it. But Periscope, I think I might cook some catfish on Periscope, maybe imbibe a little bit with some drugs and alcohol.
Drugs and alcohol.
Have a good time. Just have a good time, because Periscope, it's not connected to my personal social media, so I can cut loose on that a little bit. And
cut loose he does. I've seen him.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes my wiener flops out my boxer shorts.
I hadn't gotten to those yet. But
no, it's going to be a good time. It's what's my Periscope?
It's lowercase. It's just JP Slim, I think,
Slim.
at JP Slim.
Yeah, just JPSLIM.
Yep, that's it. So follow us on social media, and here we go. You could also like our Facebook page.
Boy. Read the first question. I'll be right back. I forgot to do something.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Facebook.com/thepodcastingdead. Go give the page a like. And we need to start posting more on that, and we will. Also, final contact info before we get to mail calls, questions, is you can always email us, podcastingdeadpodcast@gmail.com. So without further ado, while we wait on JP to get back, sadly, I'm sure that's not the first time he's yelled that this week. Yeah, don't even want to know. Anyways, all right, so Rain DeVos says, and I'm just going to go ahead and answer this one because I think it's pretty easy answer. Who would win in a fight, Rick with his hatchet or Inspector Gadget? I'm talking about Rick from The Walking Dead, and of course. What? That's where I was. Inspector Gadget, totally. He could just fly in the air and, just take Rick out from. I mean, I don't know. Rick's pretty nasty at throwing that hatchet, but he couldn't even hit Negan with it. So I don't know if he could be able to hit.
I'm back.
Inspector Gadget. So
I don't know, man. Inspector Gadget's got. Now, are we talking about like cartoon Inspector Gadget? Are we dropping Rick Grimes into the cartoon universe? Is cartoon Inspector Gadget coming out? Is this like a Cool World, or is it Matthew Broderick's Inspector Gadget from the movie?
Let's hope not. I think anybody could take Matthew Broderick's.
Yeah, well, that is who played him, right? It's Matthew Broderick, right?
Ring,
I think in the sequel, the straight-to-video sequel, it was that guy from Third
I used
Rock
to
from the
hate
Sun
those. Whenever it was straight-to-video sequels, man, I'm not saying there weren't any good ones, but there weren't a lot of good ones.
Yeah, man. I wish I could think of the movie, like a really great movie from back in the day. They made a sequel to, and like all the original cast was involved. It was straight to DVD or video or whatever.
Right.
Anyway, not important. If I think of it, I'll tell you.
Yep, but
no,
I'm going with Inspector
Gadget.
Gadget.
Kill though, so that would be.
Well, I mean, we're saying in this war.
It's not a fight to the death.
I'm going to set the parameters for that. This is a fight to the death.
Okay, well that's tough then.
What was his niece's name? Was it Penny?
Yeah, I was going to say.
We're going to say that he thinks Rick like Penny. All right, let's paint a picture. You ready?
All right.
Inspector Gadget and Penny are in the Walking Dead world. Penny gets bit and turns into a zombie, but Inspector Gadget and Penny just got here not long ago, so they don't realize what's going on with everybody. And he just sees Rick kill Penny because she's now a zombie, and now he's ready to kill because Inspector Gadget, all he saw was Rick take a hatchet and slice his niece's head off. So now Inspector Gadget's kill things out the window.
Yeah, it's a shame he doesn't have any like a lethal artillery. All of his gadgets.
He might that we didn't see.
Yeah, maybe he's got some.
He could stretch his arms. If nothing else, he could stretch his arm and wrap it around Rick's throat and just drag him into the sky.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's a lot of brutal ways he could kill. Let's see. Agent X17 says, do you guys think they should make a Walking Dead spinoff in the comic or TV show where the main character becomes a savior or whisperer, like 2 different spinoffs or 1 spinoff where the main character becomes both of them? It would be interesting to see. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if it was done right. But I mean, I really don't even know which character you would put on that path.
Yeah, if they were going to do a spinoff, I don't know if I'd even want it connected to like the main Walking Dead. Maybe just something totally
like a whole new character.
Field,
yeah.
Or maybe it would be cool, like a surviving whisperer that just kind of sets off on his own path. And
I agree. I think it'd be more interesting to have a spinoff, but it'd be not like, because I mean it's just out of character for majority of them. I mean maybe somebody from the Saviors, but most of them I don't think would go to the Whisperers or become, well, I should say ex-Saviors, but become Saviors, like they were. So it'd be cool to see like you said, a Whisperer off on their own. And how they cope and survive, and it doesn't even really need to. Maybe down the road they'll meet up, but I mean, like let it be its own thing. I honestly would love a Negan spinoff series. If we're not going to see him in the main series, I would be completely happy with like a Negan spinoff comic.
Oh yeah, that'd be the balls, man.
Where he just has gone off. Maybe he's even on like the West Coast or something now. You know what I mean? But just to see. I really miss Negan. It's been about a year, right, since we've seen him in a comic.
Probably so. I'd love to see Negan just make his way to Colorado, start a commune, be growing hemp and weed.
It's legal here.
Yeah, taking psychedelic mushrooms.
It's like Negan, the world ended. It's legal everywhere.
Yeah, just a real hippy dippy kind of vibe. But then some threat presents itself, and he's got to kind of go back to his his treacherous ways to protect his people.
I would honestly love to see something like that. Yeah, I think that would be awesome.
Now, I'd love to do mushrooms with Negan.
That would be. I don't even do mushrooms, but I'll tell you, with Negan, I would consider it.
Yeah, man.
Brian Akeem. Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, very enlightening.
Brian Akeem says, did you hear AMC is doing a second spinoff series? Speaking of spinoffs.
I've been hearing rumors about that for a while.
He says, obviously, we need a Ken prequel.
Who was Ken again?
I hadn't heard anything about it. JP, could you enlighten us? What have you heard about it?
I've just heard rumors that there is going to be one. I haven't heard any details, but I do know one's been in the works for a while. I don't know if it's going to be a prequel, is set in the future, involving anyone from the show. I don't know. I really am curious. I would love to see more on that. I'll look that up, Brian, and get back to you on it. I've had a great idea for a spinoff. When they blow up the CDC in the first season, like we just see a video message from that scientist go to some CDC, another country, another part of the world or whatever. Just it follows like the last little bastion of like military and scientists, and they're actually trying to figure out what's going on, find a cure, and just like really hone in, just not just survivors, like
right,
people like the last remnants of the
civilization.
Yeah.
I'd love to see something like that, or something that's like going on. It'd be so cool to connect it to Rick. Like maybe you see Rick on the stretcher getting like I imagine the camera's kind of going down the street following like these two scientists or doctors or something as they're discussing what's happening, and like in the background you can see Rick on the stretcher getting taken into the hospital. So it kind of, it's not connected with the series in a direct sense, but that way you kind of do have that little anchor of, timeline wise, we knew that this was going on when Rick was in the hospital. Yeah, man. I mean,
I'd love to see it set in Australia. Get Paul Hogan on it, man.
What is Rick doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, I would love to see different parts of the world. I mean, even if it's not set the entire series, or maybe like just show like each episode focus on a different place and people or something. You know what I mean? I don't know. It would be really cool. Definitely a great.
Yeah, man. Think about like
great
India.
Amount of possibilities.
Like, how overpopulated India is in general.
It'd be terrifying.
Yeah.
Or China.
Yeah, China. I mean, shoot, a lot of those countries are terrifying as it is in a lot of places. So you had some zombies. Ooh.
Absolutely.
No chance.
Let's see. What was the next question? All right, so Brian's AH says, I'd recast the writers and showrunner from season 6 through 8 with those from the beginning seasons. Yeah, pretty much 6. I liked season 6. I'm not going to lie. Season 6, I thought that was when we actually first started podcasting, was in season 6. And I actually really enjoyed season 6. And I enjoyed 7 and 8, too. I mean, JP and I have been pretty optimistic about the show the whole time. But, I mean, we both, I think, can admit that 7 and 8 were definitely drug out a bit too long.
Had some lulls.
It should have been this. Season 6 at the end should have been the introduction to Negan. We should not have had a cliffhanger. Season 7, the first half up to the mid-season finale, should have been Rick's whole submitting to Negan, learning all of this, like all hope seems lost. And then the mid-season finale should have been when they decided they were going to fight back. And then all the way up to the season 7 finale should have been the fight and then the defeat of Negan. And that would have probably made the saga 10 times better. They could have achieved that by doing more cutaways of different scenes and putting more in each episode and trimming some of the fat. But I honestly think that's the best way it should have been done. Negan's thing should have been one season. You know what I mean? Because you kind of had that in the comics. You had Rick's submission, yada, 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 up to a certain point, and then you realize, like, we're going to fight back. That should have been the mid-season finale. And then I feel like people would have every episode would have had something big happening. It would have been much faster paced. I think people would overall have a much more positive outlook on the whole all-out war with the show. I mean, it was 2 seasons.
Yeah, it was a bit much.
Two whole seasons.
They drug out the prison thing too. It's just
and I just didn't feel like that was as drug out. Maybe it's because what they did was they had because that went for a season and a half. That started in season 3 and then ended at the mid-season finale of 4. So it wasn't quite as long as All Out War. But the thing was, we actually had the governor was gone. Like basically you had one season of the governor, and then he disappeared until like the 4th, 5th, or whatever episode into season 4. So, I mean, it really wasn't it didn't feel as drug out because you started having more storylines, and then he came back. You know what I'm saying? They didn't just basically make you follow him.
Scariest thing about that was that swine flu. Ooh.
I really, really do miss the whole prison time, though. Just like we said yesterday, talking about that both of our favorite storylines in the comics was the prison saga. That was one of my favorite points in the show, too. Just things felt new and bleak, yet kind of hopeful. And I just really like David Morrissey as the governor.
Oh, yeah, he was great.
But yeah, season 7 and 8 definitely could have used this pacing from this season. I think it'd be interesting to see. I still say in a parallel universe, I'd love to see a Walking Dead where Frank Darabont stayed on it from the entire run. I mean, he did season 1 and then they basically got rid of him and gave it to Glenn Mazzar, I believe, in season 2. And Frank Darabont, if you go back and watch season 1, what I like is that it's true. I've seen this on another YouTuber's channel, and I hate to not be able to give them credit, but I saw this years ago. But season 1, each episode was a continuation of a story, but they almost felt like self-contained. Each episode had its own thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In season 1. And I don't know. It would be interesting.
Yeah, man. Need some interdimensional cable so we can, check that out.
Yep. Also, I would love to see, again, I like Jeffrey Dean Morgan, but I would love to see a parallel universe with John Hamm as Negan. I want to see John Hamm play Negan.
Oh, me too, man. I want to see him play Batman too.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Will we be talking like, are we talking like Flashpoint Thomas Wayne Batman, though? Or are you talking about like straight up Bruce?
Jeffrey Dean Morgan for the Thomas Wayne Batman, but I'm talking John Hamm for just like
regular Bruce
Batman.
Wayne.
Yeah.
Dude, that would be so awesome.
Because, I mean, Ben Affleck's out, so.
Yep. I actually liked Ben Affleck as Batman,
yeah,
dude.
Man, I wish he had better material to work with.
Oh, absolutely. But I thought his Batman, like his costume was my favorite. I liked how brutal and badass he was. Like I loved him as Batman. Minded says that he agrees with you. Or with she, I'm sorry, I can't. That SpongeBob is trash.
Yeah, agreed. All here.
We'll forgive you. James says, either of you had a paranormal experience. Let's start with JP. JP, give us some paranormal activity in your life.
I've only had it once, and I actually talked about it on the podcast
Where you got pulled up to the ceiling?
Right. It was some kind of weird, just weird encounter as I laid on my futon.
I think aliens were trying to abduct you, or either you smoked something that was laced.
Nah, man, I smoked it again, and it didn't do nothing like that. No, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was some weird sleep paralysis kind of thing, a paranormal encounter. But like I said, it was very lucid. So that's just because I've had sleep paralysis, a waking dream or whatever you want to call it, and it was a lot. It was more to it than that, at least in my mind.
Right.
So I don't know. I'd like to go back and re-listen to that podcast. I'd kind of forgotten about that whole ordeal.
Yeah, I actually would love to do a podcast if enough people were down for it. I would love to do a podcast where we get a couple of guests, like maybe do a series. Like that's cool. We could do that. And that wouldn't be like an ongoing thing, because if we keep adding new series, we're going to get overloaded and forget to do podcasts, and it's going to become more of a chore than an enjoyment. But what I would love to do is like a mini series, and we don't have to have them at no certain time, and it's not, maybe it's like with 5 to 8 guests, but Podcasting Dead Paranormal Experiences, like an 8-part series where like we get a different guest each one, and then we could release them all at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like we could have your buddy Matt Crowder come in, maybe talk if he's had anything, our mutual friend Jesse. Just have a new guest each podcast that has had paranormal experiences, and we talk about them.
Well, man, my old creative writing professor, Barry Copland, he actually wrote a book about his encounter with UFOs on Smith
We could
Mountain
get
Lake.
him. And then, like what I'm saying is like we'll record them all and just put them out as like a 8-run series where people could are listening. So if you guys would like something like that, please let us know, because that would be easy to do, and it's not really rushed. We could plan to have it out in a couple of months. That would be fun. If you're interested in something like that, please let us know, and we might do that. Also, I plan to do the recast podcast.
Recast?
Once The Walking Dead goes off. Like that'll be something we can do on Monday.
Like recasting the series?
Yeah, like once the show goes off, it's been off for a week or two, we'll just spend like a week. I'll print out the sheet for you with all the characters, and just as you think of it, just fill them in, and then we'll do a podcast to kind of fill in the gap of The Walking Dead being off the air.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That'll be here once the Walking Dead is off air. But yeah, I think that would be a really cool podcast, just kind of a what-if type thing. We hadn't done a Walking Dead what-if in a while, so that would kind of be like a Walking
Dead,
so to speak.
Sure.
And also, before we continue, if anybody knows how to add a playlist to the YouTube homepage, I know that sounds unprofessional to be asking, but I have added them before. There used to be a little button that said Add Section, but now I can't find it, and I'm trying to add some, playlists to the homepage without having to get rid of others, and I cannot get it to work, and I don't want to have to get rid of old ones. So if you know how to get around that, again, there's no Add Section button there for me to add a new playlist. So let me know if you know how to do that. Let's see. Create Till Death says, The Walking Dead casting has been so good over the years. I'd literally not recast a single character up through season 8. Then comes Alpha. I would recast the shit out of her. I like her as Alpha a lot. I do agree the accent gets a little
annoying.
And she's British. I didn't know that. She's from Europe. Yeah. And if she's not British, she's somewhere over in Europe. And so that's probably why, because like Rick, now I thought Rick's Southern accent was believable for the majority of his, but there are times, where Rick would really, like Coral would really kind of go overboard. And I think it's just because it'd be like us with the British accent. I mean, if we had to yell and show these wide range of emotions with the British accent, we don't normally speak it. So it might sound a little overdone at times, but I like her as Alpha. I think she looks creepy as hell. I think that she's got the body language and everything. It's just that accent is a little too forced.
I'm telling you, man, would it be so horrible to cast some actual like Southern actors and to play Southern people? I mean,
not gonna lie though, with her accent, I loved. Wrong answer.
Yeah,
I thought that was awesome.
I don't understand why they need Brits to play Southerners. Why not just get Southerners to play Southerners? I mean,
well, right, that is a good point. I don't know. I really don't. That's not a Georgian accent. Well, it's not even in Georgia anymore, so that really shouldn't be. I mean, like, people do talk Southern here in Virginia, but you got to think they're up at Alexandria. That is more like Northern Virginia, right? And that's where your Southern Virginians and your Southern and Northern. But I mean, like, you go there and people don't even sound like they're from the South. A lot of places. You go like to Norfolk. Yeah, you go like to Norfolk. All these other places, they talk much more like they're from Pennsylvania, somewhere more up north. So, someone to be that country isn't out of the realm of possibility, but it just is a little overdone. But
like I said, I don't see why we can't get some. So it's like what actress caught so much flack? She was playing a transgender woman, and they made a big stink because they thought it should actually be a transgender person in that role. And I know it's not the same thing, but it's kind of relevant. I mean,
I get what you're saying. Like, I mean, why make it have to be forced when you could just have it be natural? Right. Like Matthew McConaughey, he's got a natural Southern accent. Not saying that they can or should cast him. I'm just saying there are actors that do have Southern accents.
Yeah, man. It's I mean, people make a stink anytime. Say they cast a Cuban to play a Native American, which I know Cubans are like. It's sort of in the same ballpark, or like an Italian to play a Native American.
Hey, yo, get off my land.
Right.
That's terrible Italian too. I'm sorry. I don't do good impressions at all. But yeah, no, again, the accent, I can see how that definitely gets on some people's nerves. It doesn't bother me as bad as I thought it would. I actually kind of like her as Alpha because I think like her body language and her face, I mean, I think she's got the role down. I always pictured Alpha being kind of taller and slender and again, more like a head shaved Sarah Paulson.
Sure.
Sarah Paulson, I don't think there is anybody on this planet that I think could have played Alpha as well as Sarah Paulson. And that's another thing. That's part of our recast right there. Sarah Paulson's going for my recast vote for Alpha. But I'm telling you, man, she's like my favorite actress.
No, she's great.
Oh, man, she's like who I would have imagined. Because somebody mentioned it online, maybe even on one of our podcasts. And once they said Sarah Paulson, I'm like, yes. Why have I not thought of that? Tall, slender, bald head. She can play, she can play angry well. She can play. I mean, Alphas goes through a wide range of emotions. So I mean, like Sarah Paulson is definitely one that can do a little bit of everything. So, oh man. The main Denise Washington says the main problem that I'm having with season 9 is the lack of phone walker. Okay, phone. I guess she meant walkie-talkie. She said walker-talkie, like the zombie with a walkie-talkie.
Yeah, I didn't know where that was. At first, I thought you were saying foam zombies. I was like, who's having a 20? Foam party?
Could you repeat that over? I think your walker-talkies, man. We're just messing with you, Denise. But there is a lack of phone/walkie-talkies amongst the communities. It looks like in 9/11, the kingdom does not even know doesn't even know about Alpha's group. This shows a lack of forethought. And sorry I read that so rough, Denis. My contact's drying out, and I'm looking across the room at a computer. It's 6 years in the future, though. I'm sure things like batteries are harder to come by at this point. I mean, batteries, I have found old-ass batteries, and they've worked. But, batteries do have a shelf life. I mean, at some point, they are rendered no good anymore. And I mean, they do have solar power and stuff. So I guess maybe they could find some walkies with rechargeable batteries. But
you'd think they'd get the word out to the kingdom, though. I will agree on that.
Send a raven.
Yeah, like carrier pigeon something. Send a Paul Revere messenger type thing. The whispers are coming.
There definitely needs to be some kind of, so I guess you're right, Denis. There definitely, even without the walkie-talkies and stuff, there should definitely be some kind of communication. I mean, like I said, though, they've all kind of Wakanda'd themselves. Well, Alexandria is Wakanda'd itself and been like, we only care about ourselves, nobody else. But yeah, true. Good point. Pert-Minded says I would replace Chandler Riggs with Ethan Kutsky. Kutsky? I don't know who that is. From Shameless.
Oh, I think I know who that. I haven't caught up on the latest season, but yeah, I'm a big fan of Shameless. So if that's the
my girlfriend loves that show. I just couldn't get into it.
No, man, it's great. I mean, especially if you grew up in not that I grew up in a. So anyway, no, I relate to Shameless very, very much. I love William H. Macy. He's great in it. What Emma? I can't think who plays the oldest daughter. Golly.
And Justin Theroux is, I think that's how you say his last name, Theroux as Rick. He definitely has that badass look down. He's a little bit more intimidating. Well, I don't know. It just in my mind, I don't even know that I could pick a recast for Rick. I guess I will when we do the podcast, but I just think Andrew Lincoln, I guess maybe it's just because all I've known, but Andrew Lincoln as Rick is just a masterpiece.
Know who Justin Theroux is.
Yeah, Google him. He's got kind of a tough look. Brian Akeem, I would definitely recast Tyrese, Andrea, Denise, and Negan. Yeah.
It's a lot of recasting.
I feel like Andrea didn't need to be recasted so much as she just needed to be rewritten. Right. I mean, we've had that discussion, so I won't even open up that can of worms with JP. JP likes her because she'd be giving up that butt. But I don't think that Laurie Holden's a bad actor. I think that it's just that she wasn't given much to work with. And I think she herself even said she was not happy with the way that they ended up using Andrea, that, Andrea was, and she was in the comics, man.